welcome to the Mama Pop Quilt Shop. I'm Laura Lynn. We're working on a Christmas ornament this weekend project, and I've seen them done with paper, and I don't see why you couldn't do it with felt if it was like a single layer felt. And I've actually just double layered some fabric back and forth. I've got some red and white on the inside and some white there, and then this one here. This actually was done with 8 of these little circles. I'll show you how to make them. And this one was done with 6. Okay, I just thought, well, no, give a few little try. And I thought even these little spots here make great places to hang candy canes. You can hang them from the tree. Great, awesome. Or you can write, your pet's names on the inside here and the year and a nice Sharpie marker, or if you're using the paper and the felt or something like that, and the felt you can use nice decorative stitches, like a nice blanket stitch around the outside edge if you wanted to. There's lots of options. I thought it'd be a nice little craft to do with the munchkins, right? They could pick a couple of colors and, you build it out and they make a nice soft Christmas ornament for the tree. And then I had some of this sequence. I've actually had lots of it here. So there's a shorter piece and I just peeled a few of these off, which just give you a little tiny sequence here. And I was sewing them, so it was like clipped at one end and then down at the other and here to kind of give it that little shape around, but attaching one of those at every little spot. So whenever it catches the light from the Christmas tree, it's gonna like twinkle. So why not? It's be a little pretty. And then this is just a little lace ribbon, a little bit of lace. This is a small, tiny little bit of rickrack, and of course I have some more red sequins for the one I'm going to build today. So I did realize we don't actually have a Poppy or Remembrance Day ornament for our tree, and I would really like to have one. I don't really just want to remember Remembrance Day November 11th. I would like to try to remember it all year long, right? So I thought I had this little, a scrappy little bit of some beautiful poppy fabric, and I cut some circles out of it, and then a nice complementary red to go onto the inside. So that's what I have here, okay? And I'm just cutting circles. I used my just a normal little cream cheese or like a chip dip sort of container. It seemed like a good size. When I put it up on my board, it just reached the outer rim of 4. So, 4, 5, 6. If you were to do it any bigger, I think you'd need to probably enforce the fabric with maybe a little bit of interfacing, and then that way these little folds and stuff would stick out. I mean, or like I said, great craft for kids. They can glue the spots on. They can glue the sequence on. They can put beads on. They can do all sorts of fun stuff. Even gluing this, bunch of rickrack, and so this bag was just given to me, so I've been trying to use up some of it, right? Why not? Okay. So what we're going to do is going to make 4 more. So I have this bit of fabric cut here, and of course I made a circle and used my little marker there, and then same here, put it in the center and then traced around it to give me that nice perfect square or circle. circle in a square. Now just need to take my scissors, which I think I put away because I'm so prepared. I must have. You could use your rotary cutter if you like, but that's up to you. I think I'd rather just cut this with scissors. All right, so we're just going to cut that out, okay? Cut on the line, on the other side of the line, the inside of the line, whatever. This is just a chalk, and it just disappears. So just by brushing it enough times, okay? And this has some poppy fabric and then a little bit of plaid fabric and then a little bit more of poppy fabric. And I tried to lay the circle out so it gave equal portion of, so you can see some poppies, you can see some plaid, and then of course the red for the inside, right? Or outside, depending on how you want to lay it out. Like this one here, you don't know which is the in or the out. It's, it's pinned here or it's stitched there, so it doesn't matter. I flipped and flopped them, so I did, when I folded them, which I'll show you. Okay, and then we're just going to do the other 4 here, so around in a circle, to give us 4 more just like that, okay? So we don't really need the pins, but we could probably use them just to make sure everything's nice and stable. Okay, so we could just put that in the center, and we're going to leave ourselves a little line. So we're going to come here on this side and end over there, so we give ourselves a little gap in between to turn this right side out, okay? And we're just going to line this up, red on top, or whatever, 2 fabrics, the right sides facing together, okay? Because you're going to turn this right side out via that little tiny hole, okay? All right, so let's sew these 4. Let's move that sequence out of the way. We don't really want to stitch through that. You know, get a little needle and thread, use some embroidery thread, use some fancy, you know, metallic thread you got going on, make some strings. If you have only a couple of thin bits of threads, but lots of them, braid them. Braid them together, or do a little crochet, tight little crochet knot or a little string, and there you go. You got yourself a little tie. Think about it. It's all good. Okay. All right, so let's sew these 4. Okay. And give yourself a place to start and stop with about an inch, inch and a half, something like that, to turn right side out, okay? And then just in a circle, trying to maybe give it a visual spot for you to ride the circle, the edge of the circle fabric around with your foot. If you have a bit of a clear foot, or, you know, it's still, oops, wrong button. It's part of your foot as you're moving it around, that you're trying to line it up very similarly each as it's going around, right? So it's trying to keep it consistent, whether it's a quarter or, you know, a half or whatever. I'm trying to keep to a quarter. And then just do a little back stitch, okay? Or just like a lock stitch. It's not like really strenuous. And then once you're done all the little circles all the way around, you want to do some relief cuts, okay? And I'll show you why we need to do that, okay? You don't want to come to the threads, but just, you know, enough to help alleviate some of this bulk of the fabric when it gets inside, okay? And I'll show you how. You can either trim it too, just a little bit, but this works just as well, okay? And then as you turn it, right side out, these little fabrics here, where they are cut, are actually going to overlap on each other to the point where it's going to, instead of making a fold or a pleat, they're just going to slide. They're just going to slide next to each other to help alleviate the bulk. Okay, and this is another great tool for this. Hopefully you saw that in the small camera. Okay, and then just poke it on out. Ride the flat edge just along your little seam that you just stitched. Make sure you're just defining the circle, okay? You're just defining the circle all the way around. And then you have your little spot where you turn it under, okay? And you try and turn it under approximately what you were stitching around. So if you were stitching around a half, then try and tuck in a half or the quarter or what have you, okay? So just trying to keep it as even as possible. I know sometimes that might be a little bit of a flat side, but you know, in the end, nobody's going to notice. Okay. All right, so put a little pin in there. And we're going to press these, okay? All right, so let's do the other ones. Pardon Sophie, she just apparently decided this was a good time to eat, so that's who you hear munching in the background. Yourself enough room. That's a bit snug. Okay, we'll sew them. I'll sew the last 3 here first, and then I'll give them a trim, okay? And help just turn with the other hand, you know? Slowly but surely, move your fingers in the circular direction, and the feed dogs will help get you all the way around. Okay, there's that one, and one more for good luck. Hopefully you can join us tomorrow when we're starting our 2nd week working on our Christmas 4-patch starring cardinal fabric. So very excited about that. All right, now again, we're going to trim just little slits, just coming just before the stitches. Not all the way to, just before, okay? I hope everybody's having a good weekend, and it's, you know, November started and it's puttering along. It's going fast. It always does. And I thought making a few of these would be nice, especially if, you know, people who have pets or have gotten pets throughout the year. A nice couple of soft ornaments on the lower branches, you know, and fun things that you can do with the kids, the grandkids, the nieces and nephews, whatever. Even just, you know, local munchkins at the Sunday school, you know. You never know. Could host a craft at your local library. Okay, all right, now that those are all trimmed, like I said, that gives the fabric a little bit of something to move against, so it's not all bulky and folds on the inside, okay? Now you don't have to do a whole stitch around like I did. I did a whole stitch around on the, I just chose a nice red thread. But you don't have to. You can just maybe whip stitch your little hole closed and leave it that way if you like. I thought if we defined it, it gave it a little bit more, you know, stability. It kind of stiffened it up a little bit if we put a little outside stitch on the stitch on the outside edge. So. All right, now poke these out. Like I said, run the little tool against the stitches to help define the circle that we just made with the sewing machine, or hand stitched, whatever it is you're going to do. Okay, turn this out. And then that way, you know, when this beautiful ornament's hanging on the tree, we will always think of the people who sacrificed their life for our freedom. Because you got to admit, it changes you. It would change you right from the get-go. Okay, just define the circle. Okay, what we could do is kind of just tuck these a little bit under where we wanted our seam allowance, you know, and then we're going to give them a little press. Okay, try not to get the plastic pins next to the iron. Just going to tuck these little 3 in here. Or 2 more, sorry, not 3 more. Okay, and then here, 2, oops, that is a sewing pin. There we go. Okay, now we're just going to give them a little press, just to kind of set that circle, you know, and set the seams on these guys, okay? So just a little press in love. Don't melt your pins, okay? That little corner in there, and this got some pretty poppy fabric on it for sure. I tried to get 2 different sides of on the other side of the plaids, so you'll notice that this one is a smaller flower, and then these ones on the edges here are more of the bigger flower. So, okay, all right. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to sew around these 4 to get them all stitched together, just like these guys here. Okay, and then we'll finish putting our ornament together. And this is, you know, where you can, you know, add a bunch of things if you wanted to, you know. If you were just going to hand stitch these little bits together, then you could add sequins. You could put little strips across or zigzag or, you know, I don't know. I'm sure you could think of something. Sorry. And just stitching right close to the edge. Very similar to what we did last weekend with the headphone set, because you're trying to set the seam, right? You're setting it and you're confirming those 2 fabrics together. And we're going all the way around. And then just overstitch the other one by, you know, 4, 5, 6 stitches, that sort of thing, so it locks it all together, okay? And there we go. All right, and we just need to finish the other 3. So let's do that right now. And if you fold it over and you sew really close, then you should be able to get both of those raw edges that you have tucked under in and sewn over, okay? And making them stay exactly where they need to be. Okay. All right. You know, take your time. I am a fast sewer. I figure it goes to the floor for a reason. So, you know, you do what you want to do. Be more cautious. Take your time. This be a lovely project to hand stitch too. especially some of the decorative stuff. I did hand stitch the little pieces together and then hand stitch the sequins on. So hopefully those little red sequins will catch the light when it's on the tree. All the way back to the beginning. Okay, now we have all our 8. We have our 8 together, which is going to give you something similar to this. If you want it a little bit smaller or the more fabric, more visual, then do 6, okay? And you don't, that's all you need to do, okay? So what I did with this one, I'll show you on this one first, is I folded everybody the same way. I had it so the pattern was on the inside, folded in half, the pattern was on the inside, and so on and so forth, and then got them together to go around. On this one here, I did the opposite, okay? So I put these two together, and then when we folded them, so they're bits together, it was one red side out and then one poppy side out, or as the red and white and then the white, right? So it depends on however you want the visual look for you. You may see it as it looks the same, it doesn't matter, that's up to you, okay? So what I thought was the best way to get this to go together was to lay one on top of the other and then do a stitch on the halfway point from there to there, just before your stitches and after your stitches, right in the center. And then that way you can fold this side up. Hold on, just trying to make that there. And this side to this way, and that gives you 2 pieces. And then you're going to do that to the other ones, and then you're going to attaching them together, like so on a flat piece and so on and so forth. So that's the way we're going to make this one, okay? All right. Very excited. All right, there is 2 different, so I do want to alternate. Okay, so those are the big ones and those are the small ones. Okay, so we're going to here and here and here and here. And this is, if you had patterned material that you really wanted to keep in sequence, what if you had, leftover stuff from the kids' pajamas and now you're making Christmas ornaments in it, and they'll always remember those pajamas, when they outgrow them and stuff because of the ornament, just, have some fun with it. You'll get it. Okay, oops, that one goes outside. Okay, so I'm going to take one of these. No, actually, I wanted them that way. Okay, and one on top of the other. And I'm kind of actually lining up at least one of the lines here, trying to. It looks like it would kind of line up. And then again, sewing in the center. Just a little bit. You can do a big stitch. You don't have to do a small stitch. This is why I said it'd be a good fun project to take on the road. You can just stitch there and then stitch to stitch, and then you're stitching it all together and then adding your sequins or your extra embellishments. Okay, you can add buttons. There's all sorts of fun things. Okay, so just down to the other part, and we're going to do that with all 4 bits that we got going on here. Okay, trying to keep everybody, the same way. Now I did see this as a paper craft, and I thought, well, how can I make it into like a fabric ornament? So this is what I came up with. And I don't see why you can't use felt or fabric. I mean, yeah, felt, fabric, paper, all that sort of fun stuff. Limitation is your imagination. And you can pinking shear the felt, give it a little extra, fanciness. Okay, now once we have our 4, okay, you're like, okay, you just put one on top of the other. Yes, I know. There we go. And then we're going to fold them just like that, so they kind of stick to the outside, okay? It's like folding a pierogi, okay? And then again, that one and that one. And I'm making sure that it's a poppy solid on the inside, next to a red, next to a poppy solid, next to a red, that sort of thing. So once I get these 2 together, I'm going to take the poppy and the red, which is, you're just kind of holding them together, if that makes any sense at all. You're just holding them together like that, and then I'm just going to do a little stitch right down here to get these 3 together, and then you add this one, and then you add this one as you're going around. It's really easy once you just kind of wrap your brain around what it is you're trying to get to, okay? So like I say, you don't have to come all the way up to the top, just come right next to those stitches, a little bit there, and lift up. Okay, now we have 3 of them together. Okay, 3 of them together. 1, 2, actually 4 of them together. I apologize, 4 of them together. And now we're going to add the other 4. Okay, which is again fold it, and then fold it, and then again on itself, and then fold it and fold it, and making sure you have it in the right sequence. You know, poppy inside red, poppy inside red, that sort of thing. And then you're taking the 2 middle ones to attach those together. And you're going to sew down the little line right there, right next to where you need to be. You can put little bells on the bottom. I think that would be lovely. Attach a couple little bells, maybe a little ribbon and a bell, you know, that sort of thing. Okay. See, now we have our, there we go, our 2 4 parts together, our 2 4 parts. And now we're going to put them together. Okay. So we're going to take this one and this one. And again, it should be sequence of poppy red, poppy red, poppy red. And then we're going to squish these 2 together. And again, sew right where we can, right next to everybody. Make sure you're shifting everybody to kind of keep that circle nice and circular, not oval or, you know, starts being like a hexagon or something. So be careful. It's going to take a little time. And as you get more fabric under there, it gets more bulky. Okay. So there's that one, and now I need to make sure I'm attaching the other side. That's all 8 of them together right there. Okay, just like that. Actually, it's almost like a fabric slinky. There we go. We just made something new. All right, now I'm gonna put those last two together right here, and sew down right next to that middle line. Okay, and that should be all 8 of them attached. Okay, and then we get to plan where we're going to stick our ribbon, or whatever it is we're using as a hanging tool, attachment, yarn, fabric, string, you know, bric-a-brac, sequence. You think of it. Okay. And try and come close to the previous stitches, but the bulk of the middle is going to help, it's going to prevent that a little bit. Okay, back to stitch. Got our little red sequence for the top. Okay, now just kind of find a little center bit here. There we go. Oh, I'll show the small camera so you can see. Okay, you're going to trim all those little threads up though, okay? But there we go. So we have our 2 together, our poppy, geez, I was having a brain fart there. Our red, 2 together. Probably could have shifted that down a little bit, but you know, as I'm trying to show you. And of course that part slipped out. We can fix it. All right, now we take our little sequence, or whatever we're going to use to hang it in, slip it on the inside here, okay? And you can either use a needle and thread or be able to pop it under your machine, get the 2 like somewhat flat sides together, and do little back stitches back and forth to keep it in there, okay? So let me just move that over. Let's see if we can actually stitch it. I know it's not the best thing to stitch over sequence, but just come back and forth a couple of times to make sure you're really getting it in there, and it's going to hold, okay? All right, and then this is, if you want, you can just leave it just like this. It doesn't matter. Put some balls on the jingle bells or something on the end, and it's a cute little, nice, soft, the kids can play with it. It doesn't matter, that sort of thing. Or you can start doing the pinning or tacking at the top. You tack the top here, and then you tack the bottom here. And then you tack the top up here, and then you tack the bottom down there to give you this little sort of design, okay? Where it's open and closed as it spins around, sort of thing. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. I did the same thing here, but I did stitches. That I hand stitched, and this I just kind of zipped through the machine. But just for kind of time's sakey here, we will just show you a couple via the machine. So it's an upper and a lower. So you could do a right in the middle, I guess. I mean, or I don't know. I found that it looked prettier if you just kind of did the upper and then a little bit of the lower. Okay. So once I tack that one up there, make sure I have the next piece in line, and I'm going to tack it down at the bottom here. Okay, so slip it under there, and this is where you could glue. Glue if it was paper and felt. You can put these little clips, or even paper clips to hold it as it's drying. You know, there's lots of options. Okay, so if that got to the bottom, that's the top. Oops, I got more than what I needed. Sugar plums. It's always the way. It's because I'm trying to rush to show you. Okay. All right, so there was the bottom of that one, there, down the bottom of that one. So we'll stack the top of that one and then go down to the bottom of this one. And then it helps as it's sitting, open it up like a little, I don't know, like a little flower, little orange. And any little spots that you're making with the tacking, you could put little candy canes in there. Or candies or something. All right. Okay, so there's the top, there's the bottom. Yes, I had to cut those threads. So let's retack this one because I had like 3 instead of just 2. Okay, there and there. And then if that was at the top there, if that was at the top there, then we go down to the bottom here. And then just tack over your stitches that you've already sewn around, okay? But you could easily do that with a nice decorative floss, you know, like an embroidery floss or something like that. Okay, so there was the bottom there. Gonna do the top over here. Making sure you're always including the same piece but twice. So it goes bottom, top, that sort of thing. So you're getting what you need to give that visual effect. Because you're just you're spreading the fabric open by tacking those spots, okay? And then again down at the bottom. This would be a great little project for sure to make memories with family. All right. Be patient, you'll get there. You know, there's only 8 bits and then there's 16 tacking spots. So, okay, you know, you got 16 to do. It's not too bad. And make sure you trim up all your threads. That's for sure. I'd wait till the last because there's always going to be stuff. Depending on how many added extra elements and you want to add, right? So like buttons and ribbons and bells and sequins and and then get at the top, up here. And it helps kind of keep forming the circle of the ornament to begin with, you know, as you're tacking all these spots together, you're just kind of making sure it's all staying together. Okay, so if that was up there, this goes down here. Imagine some nice shiny fabrics, you know, that sort of thing. I think it'd be very pretty. All right, and then up here, and of course, we saw that slipped out just a bit, so we can tuck it in and use it as our upper tack spot and hold it down all together. There we go. Only have a couple more to go. Actually, just one more to go. There we go. Aha. Oh, did I? Maybe not. Hold on. Maybe 2 more. Just kind of try and keep the spot consistent, top and bottom, as you're going around. Okay. And then top up here, and then it's bottom down there, and then we're good. Okay, so. Just don't want to lose the sequence. I mean, not the sequence, but you know what I mean. The repeat pattern. Okay, all right. Now that should be everybody. And of course the sequence ribbon here at the top would catch the light as well, okay? So there is our very lovely poppy ornament, very soft. And I think I am going to try and find a red bell and put it on the bottom of that one for sure. Yes, definitely. Isn't it pretty? I like it. I like it a lot. There we go. Thank you everybody for watching, liking, and subscribing. And don't forget to check us out on Patreon. And our live streams are Sunday at 3 p.m. So check us out then. All right, Eastern. All right, take care everybody. Have yourself a great weekend. Hope you make some Christmas ornaments.